And it's the mayor's fault.
Meeting hasn't started. We don't accept those comments.
No second on that motion.
Ready to go? All right, good evening and welcome to the City of Sunbury Council meeting. It's April 3rd, 2024, 7:30 p.m. Would you please join me in a moment of silent prayer and pledge of allegiance? Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mayor St. John,
Here.
Mr. Capel.
Here.
Mr. Ayer. Here. Mr. Neff.
Here.
Mr. Grumney.
Here.
Mr. Martin.
Here.
Mrs. Cooper. Here. 7 present.
Right, we had a meeting on March 20th and we're looking for a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Got a motion by Mrs. Cooper,
Second.
second by Mr. Grumney. Discussion? Roll call?
Mrs. Cooper.
Yes.
Mr. Grumney.
Yes.
Mr. Martin.
Yes.
Mr. Neff.
Yes.
Mayor St. John.
Yes.
Mr. Ayer.
Yes.
Mr. Capel.
Abstain.
6 yeas.
All right, we're on the visitors section. We do have a scheduled visitor, but I'd like to pass it to Mrs. Cooper.
Yes, I would like to invite our citizen recognition recipient of the month, Beth Stanley, up to the podium, please. And your girls are welcome to come with you. It is my pleasure to introduce Beth Stanley as the newest recipient of the city's Citizen Recognition Award. The award is designed to recognize individuals and or organizations that have made significant impact in the lives of Sunbury residents or accomplished something that has improved the quality of life for the entire community. In addition to Beth's active support for running clubs for kids and her tireless efforts to promote Down syndrome awareness, she has found the time in recent years to launch a Change the World with Your Kindness campaign. This group of volunteers routinely gathers donations and uses the money to deliver gifts and treats to the deserving members of our community, including our police, our firefighters, teachers, bus drivers, and postal workers, just to name a few. Ashley Ryder, who nominated Beth for this award, said that if there is a need somewhere in our community, Beth jumps at the chance to make people smile and lift their spirits. Ashley added that Beth is one of the most compassionate and kind people she has ever met. Since Beth moved to the area in 2018, she has dedicated herself to nurturing the children of the Big Walnut community and spreading kindness throughout the community. According to her friend, Julie Allison, every President's Day, Beth organizes a Kids Kindness Crew tour and rallies families to donate snacks and signs for local heroes. With Beth's Soaring Eaglets Running Club, she helps kids develop a love for movement and a sense of community. I believe Julie said it best when she said, "Beth, thank you for bringing the light of your kindness to our community." City staff were able to compile some videos that demonstrate the work that Beth and her hearty group of volunteers are doing in our community. Please enjoy this video.
We practiced this before the meeting started.
Yeah,
Please.
very nice. Sorry.
Please join me in for making Sunbury a better community and recognizing her with the Citizens Recognition Award. And then we're gonna get a picture with the mayor, and then we'll do a picture with the council. If you're the ones to come forward, we'll get a picture.
Just how it's. Yeah, he's like, yes. He wants to really. Yeah. I think you're okay. Space down, okay? All right, let's do it.
All right, 1, 2, 3, say cheese.
All right, all council, we want to get council in there. Yeah, yep. Get in there. I didn't know. No, no, we don't need that.
Yes, sure. You just stand.
Okay.
Yeah, there was audio to that. We'll get you.
Yeah, we'll get that copy.
Here, so. Well, okay.
Have some cheese. 1, 2, 3. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you very, very much. Thanks for all of your service. Thank you.
All right, we are still on the visitors section. First of all, I want to say thank you to the events committee for keeping this tradition alive, the quarterly citizen recognition program. Great honor, Beth Stanley, great citizen. All right, we're on to the unscheduled portion of the visitor section. Is there anyone that wishes to speak with City Council? All right, we're on to committee reports. Ms. Dre.
Tonight, of them do need more time, so I wouldn't be surprised if ours is gonna need a little more time as well. I don't know if it's gotten that far or not, but this was more residential and a lot's going on that way too. So it's very informative.
This is for development outside of the city.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Mr. Grumman.
I don't have a specific committee report. I'll say I have an update. I attended the Delaware Public Health District Council meeting. I'll provide a quick recap of it at the end of the meeting, but I did attend the zoning meeting, but I'll leave those highlights to you and go from there. So, yep.
Thank you, sir.
Mhm.
Mr. Capel.
As is usually the case, we had a very busy services committee meeting again, so I'll hit the highlights here. We started off with talk about the parking lot on Columbus Granville intersection, and this is just a proposed parking lot idea. At this point, this is kind of the first major idea to come out of our streetscaping group. So I'm really happy to see it start to come to fruition, and hopefully there'll be more discussions in the future as we get into engineering with that and come up with an actual proposal to council to move forward with that. 2024 street program was one of the topics we talked about again. This year, we're trying to get our bid in a little bit earlier than we have in previous years. Currently, the cost our application for OPWC fund was $890K. We're going to need to look at prioritization, deciding which road projects we actually want to focus on, and where we might need to pull some back to save some money. Also, which of our add-on projects we may want to attach to it or not attach to it. I know several of the add-on projects we may just want to do standalone to get them out of the way and not include them as part of that cost with the street program. Then we also had a road failure on South Galena Road. The road is closed right now because of a culvert that washed out during the heavy rains that we had recently. So this is on our council agenda for tonight. We're going to talk about some potential emergency funding that might be available through OPWC. Looks like the estimated cost of repairs for this is going to be about $145,000. Obviously, with all the other road work that's going on, this is a pretty high priority fix, and this is something we need to be on top of. And finally, Officer Wellbacher, probably butchering his name, so apologies. Here we go. He talked to us about radar signs and using our GIS system to sort of take a comprehensive approach to gathering data across the whole city in regards to speeding and traffic patterns. I think it's a really, really cool idea. It's kind of in its infancy, so I expect we'll see more as it develops. But a cool idea with a lot of potential. And that's the highlights.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Pepple. Mrs. Cooper?
Yep, we had a parks meeting earlier this afternoon. There's going to be a memorial event, a disc golf event, Memorial Day weekend, or no.
Weekend before.
The weekend before Memorial Day weekend, but it's a memorial event. Very confusing. We talked a little bit about the solar eclipse. We've been talking about that for a while, so nothing new except they've just been working really hard with the fire, EMS, police. They're all on the same page of what's going to happen. Amber's been watching the weather. She guarantees there's going to be sun. We discussed what our next steps are for Old Orchard Park. It looks like the first thing that we need to do is get some overgrowth taken care of. There's a couple ways that we can go about that. We're going to work closely with Aaron Noblet about that. We were reached out by the Preservation Parks. They asked us to write a letter of support. They're looking to get some funding to put in a trailside welcome station. And so we happened to write a letter for that. And something that Alyssa has been working on is providing a monthly park update for us every month, where she lists every one of our parks and what's going on at each one of the parks. It's been very helpful.
Awesome. How long was that meeting? 4 hours or so?
We're efficient in parks. I don't know what's going on with services.
Yeah.
Well, our talker was absent, so.
Yeah, 23 minutes.
So that was it. Thank you.
Good update.
Yeah.
Mr. Martin?
I don't have anything to.
Mr. Neff?
Nothing to report.
I believe that. Not in attendance tonight. were you?
Attendance tonight.
I would have known it was not the weekend before Memorial.
I'm going to provide a quick update on the zoning meeting we had last Monday, right? Last Monday. It was a packed house. We actually had an occupancy issue. 10 people left, 10 people let in. I would say the majority, it's fair to say, of the people who were here were here for an issue that was not on the agenda. It was related to a gas station that was informally proposed on State Route 3 adjacent to the communities at Sunbury. So once I had introduced that this topic is not up for discussion and the developer is looking to seek feedback from anyone that's concerned and is looking to hold a meeting on April 16th. Several people left, but there were so many people outside that were just interested in what's going on in the Planning and Zoning Commission that they came in. We did have 2 public hearings. One was a rezoning of 700 plus acres of land on the east side of Sunbury for a limited industrial district. That was unanimously passed, I think, within 5 minutes. Then we had Kintner Crossing, which was an amendment to their zoning, also a public hearing. Spent probably a half an hour, 45 minutes. This was a project that was originally proposed by Highland Real Estate. We all had approved that last year or late 22, early 23. A new landowner and a new developer are bringing it back forward. The developer is DR Horton. There were quite a few substantive changes, basically between condos versus townhomes. Access was changed pretty significantly, both emergency access, right-of-way widths. There was literally an access point that was removed. Easements, pardon me. what?
Mailbox location.
Mailbox locations, elevations, parking, a lot of things, and there was a lot of discussion back and forth with the developer. They had requested that the Planning and Zoning Commission table that particular development or the amendment, and looking to hear back from them sometime. We gave them a lot of feedback. Fair to say, Mr. Graham?
I'd say very fair, yeah.
All right. So that's all we have. And now I'm going to hand it over to Sergeant Meacham for the police report.
Thank you, Mayor. I believe Chief Howard, you all have his report he submitted. A couple of things I'll go over is the Eclipse event this Monday. We will have a couple officers out on 61 directing traffic once the event concludes. We'll have 2 to 4 officers on site throughout the event. Numerous other officers patrolling the city, really focusing on high school, middle school, larger areas where there'll be obviously more people gathered. Couple other things we've been going over is looking to update our forms, some of the regular forms we use on a daily basis. Some are outdated. Some we had to conform a little bit more with our policies that we have updated as well. Really, that's about it. If you have any other questions as far as Chief Howard's report or any questions as far as patrol, I'd probably be the best one to answer them if you have any.
Any questions for Sergeant Meacham?
Thank you.
Thank you. I did have a question. I don't know that it was noted here. The posting for the third sergeant position.
So we had a total of 6 applicants who have applied for the promotional position. We're working on outline of a few things as far as the process that they're going to have to go through. We hope to get that going and implemented here within the next few weeks. I think we've kind of got something laid out to the process and whatnot. So that should be taking place here shortly.
Great. Thank you. All right, we are on to the administrator report, Mr. Hennessy.
So just a few quick items. One is we did receive the Tree City USA designation again for the 11th straight year. So just wanted to share that good news with the city's council. I have included the zoning report from the Planning and Zoning Commission in here as is customary. The short answer here is that each time we talk about this, we talk about how we're at a pace greater than the prior year, which was a record year. So that theme continues today. Our new build permits are up 25% over the same period last year, which again was a record year for the city. So obviously that continues to be very active. And then the final thing, we talked a lot about this during the services committee meeting, but for those who weren't here, the service team has been actively working on flooding issues or high water issues, I should say, throughout the city. I think we've addressed. We've got one challenge that we need to continue to work on over in the Arbors neighborhood. I did reach out to Councilwoman Cooper just to give her a heads up as to the issue that was occurring over there. So that's going to take a little bit more time, but the other high water issues have receded, and staff has been able to address those. So really appreciate what the services committee has been doing and what has been a busy week. So unless there are questions, that's my report.
This might be more of a question for our engineer, but have we quantified the level of rain that we received and just where it falls in the once every 20-year scale? Because we have a lot of once every 20-year storms.
Not every 20.
We'll document that. We'll get the information, make sure we've got that recorded. Yeah, definitely a lot of high water along Prairie Run overflowing the banks. You've probably seen that. We did have that a couple of springs ago as well. So that is not uncommon, unfortunately. Which I think kind of gets to the point that we've been talking about in the services committee about a little bit more effort on the stormwater utility concept. So we continue to make progress on that. But this is just a good reminder of how important that's going to be.
Thank you. All right, we are on the engineer's report. Mr. Whited. Set a pretty high bar at the last meeting.
Yeah, hold your applause, please. Thank you. You all have, in your council reports, you covered a lot of what I would have covered. Thank you. Regarding the question about stormwater, when Mr. Miller and I were working on what you about to talk about with the emergency action for the North Galena Road, we're looking at the storm event. It was not so much as a flash flood. It was a accumulation of water over a period of time. We will have to report on that with our application, so I'll let you see that. It's us engineers, like to put numbers on it, but it was more of a long-term accumulation of storm. I don't know what the number was, but I'll let you know.
The ground was full of water.
The ground was saturated with water. It was a bunch of water. Speaking of water, I know many of you have heard some questions and seen some activity on social media regarding the reservoirs and the water level. The water level is taking down because part of what is required to be done out there is put in a drawdown system to, in case of emergency, take water out of there. In order to do that, you have to draw down the water to put that system in. So that's why the water level is down, so that they can put that outlet structure in. It'll, particularly if we continue to get heavy rains, the water will come back up. That was just the nature of the construction process was taking place. That's the answer to what has been occurring out there. I haven't looked at it, and they did have, because the system is so old and some of the valves weren't turning well, they did kind of have to monkey around with it a little bit. So it was kind of probably down a little bit further than it needed to be. Like I said, you all have had answered some of the, or addressed some of the issues I wanted to talk about tonight, so I won't belabor those points, but I did want to talk a little bit about put two new items on here. One was the parking lot that was anticipated to be addressed in the future. I just put that on here so that it's kind of followed in case we continue to go forward on it. I think it's the last item on the list. Just so it's followed. I don't really have anything to say on it. It's kind of a unique and cool project with green infrastructure, porous pavement. So we'll keep that on there, but it does say it's provides additional parking, enhances pedestrian mobility, and also offers a sustainable project in the community, sustainable infrastructure, green infrastructure project. And we do have an active project in cooperation with Big Walnut Schools, which is a trail connection between the Big Walnut Intermediate School, Price Ponds subdivision. And we're getting started on that. Should have surveyors out there next week, and we'll start in design. Not sure. Survey will probably take a couple of weeks, and we'll take that back to the field, get or take that back to the office, get the office work done, and launch into design. Probably take a couple months, and possibly get construction started on that yet this year. Hopefully, depending on the challenges associated with that and what needs to be done. Talked a lot about stormwater tonight, stormwater legislation. I did want to say, had a meeting, City of Hilliard is one of my clients, and had a meeting with them today, and we're looking at some of their stormwater legislation and their stormwater pollution prevention planning stuff and how that ties into OpenGov. And it's kind of cool to watch some of what they do and what they've historically done, and took them a long time to get to that point, and kind of proud of seeing what Daryl and Dana are doing with what they're starting to put together, and looking forward to seeing that come to fruition. And so I think you're accelerating well faster than what they've done. And I think that stormwater legislation will be really, really nice to have in place, and will help us to do some really cool things. which brings me to the next point. A little bit of what I talked about last week. We need to, as soon as we get that done, move into that right-of-way legislation, and that's what I'll just let you read at the little blurb at the bottom of the sheet. I truncated the information on right-of-way permitting and put a little note there about the right-of-way ordinance. We do need to move into getting into that, particularly as we start getting these demands from fiber companies and other. We've got some gas line issues. Get control of our right-of-way, make sure we're taking care of that. So we'll see probably moving some legislation on right-of-way issues shortly after that. So look forward to working on that and continuing to improve those different things. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Whiting? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We'll call you back up to the stand shortly. All right, we are on to resolutions, no third readings, no second readings. Just as an introduction to the next three items, these are all very similar. Mr. Hennessy, would you mind giving us just a preface of these items?
I will. So the next three resolutions, or the first three resolutions, we're not asking for action this evening. All of those relate to applying for loans with the Ohio EPA to basically help us advance our sanitary sewer infrastructure program. The first one relates to the Eastside Pump Station, and this is a request for design funding only. As a reminder, the Eastside Pump Station is designed to basically service this new land that's been annexed into the city. It will require a pump station to help get the effluent back under the creek and over to the wastewater treatment plant. So a pump station plus a series of service lines is basically what needs to be designed there. So that's a design loan for that particular purpose. The next one is the Little Walnut Creek Interceptor Phase 2. Phase 2 basically would take the trunk line from where it terminates right now, which is the Price Pond subdivision at the corner of Golf Course Road and Cheshire Road. And basically these are design fees or design services to basically pull that line up and service the area not only to the west, the western portion of the city, but also then the area north of 3637. So again, design only loan for that particular purpose. And then the third one, which is 2024-04, is we've talked a great deal about the wastewater treatment plant expansion. So this one actually gets us to the construction phase. So as a reminder, design is almost completed here. This is an expansion from 1.1 million gallons per day to 2 million gallons per day. The design is virtually complete. We did add tertiary filters to that design. That slowed it down a little bit. We would anticipate that we're going to be bidding this project and getting a final number in terms of what the total costs are here this summer. So this is a resolution that would accompany our application to the Ohio EPA to basically fund that project once we, again, bid the project, select a contractor and what have you. So I don't know, any questions about those three? And again, not asking for action this evening. Would anticipate we need action though at the next meeting in order to meet the deadlines, the application deadlines.
Any questions on these? I will go through and read if you do have specific questions on them. All right. Resolution number 2024.02, resolution authorizing City of Sunbury to apply for, accept, and enter into a water pollution control loan fund agreement on behalf of the City of Sunbury for planning, design, and construction of an east side pump station and designated a dedicated repayment source for the loan. Any discussion on this? Okay. Resolution number 2024.03, resolution authorizing City of Sunbury to apply for, accept, and enter into a water pollution control loan fund agreement on behalf of the City of Sunbury for planning, design, and construction of the Little Walnut Creek Interceptor Phase 2 and designated a dedicated repayment source for the loan. Any comments, questions? All right, resolution number 2024.04, a resolution authorizing the City of Sunbury to apply for, accept, and enter into a water pollution control loan fund agreement on behalf of the city of Sunbury for construction of the wastewater treatment plant expansion project and designating a dedicated repayment source for the loan. Any questions or comments? All right, next one is first reading resolution number 2024.05, a resolution accepting the Sunbury Parkway Master Plan as presented by MS Consultants and directing staff to work toward the implementation of the plan. Any comments from staff?
Yeah, so just wanted to note here that we did have the presentation at the last meeting from MS Consultants. You should have a copy of the final report, the bound version of the report from MS in front of you. This resolution essentially asks that council accept the receipt of the report. It's substantially complete. They have fulfilled the scope requirements that we'd outlined originally in the bid proposal that we put out. It's got a proposed future land use. It focused on design considerations for the right of way along the parkway. It's got some placemaking elements to it as well. And it also completed the economic development analysis. So these were kind of all key pieces of what was originally required, and they've delivered on all of those. So again, asking council to accept the report and then direct staff, as indicated here, to begin the implementation. So just because we have a report doesn't mean that there's anything there. We did go back and with the help of the CT consultant folks, did go back and just kind of thought about, well, what would be the next step in terms of council's actions or the city's action. And one of the things we staff believe would be an appropriate next step is basically to add this as an addendum to our existing comprehensive plan. So not replacing the existing comprehensive plan, because this is area that wasn't included in the original plan, or at least not at this level of detail. So adding it as an addendum to that. Adding it as an addendum, that's not what you're doing with this resolution. What you're doing with this resolution is basically directing staff to take this next step. The way that we accepted the comprehensive plan in 2016 is we took it to the Planning Commission. They received a report on it. There was a public hearing. They made a recommendation to council, came to council. Council did a public hearing as well, and then adopted the plan. So I would imagine we would follow a similar path to add this as an addendum if that's ultimately where council wanted to land. The other thing that I think is an immediate step for us is to begin to form a working group to start talking a little bit about the zoning adjustments that would be necessary. So in the report, it talks about a series of zoning recommendations. So just adding the addendum to the comprehensive plan, again, doesn't really fulfill the requirements or doesn't effectuate the plan in any meaningful way until you get it into your zoning code. So an amendment to the zoning code also through the Planning Commission, a public hearing process through council, a public hearing process as well. So again, that's the process that had been followed in the past, and I think that's the process I would recommend we follow here. And maybe I'll stop there unless people have questions or thoughts on that.
I'd just like to say, being a part of the Parkway just development, a very small piece of that. But I just like to say that I'm just impressed with the thoughtfulness, the community involvement, the transparency, staff's hard work, mayor's hard work, the planning considerations going into this. I mean, the community has been well educated to this point on what this plan is. I know council has been. And I just think that this is the right way to do something. I'm very happy the way this is moving along. We're taking our time. We're making sure it's done right because we're not just looking for the quick fix. We're looking for something for the next 30 years. So I just appreciate everyone's efforts that's been involved. So, yeah.
Actually, one other probably important point I should have mentioned is our zoning code does require that if an applicant comes in and asks to rezone a property, that they have to provide an answer to how does this apply to or how does this relate to the comprehensive plan. So absent an addendum to the comprehensive plan, I mean, the answer is comprehensive plan doesn't address this. Well, that was the whole reason to undertake this study as well. So that another important reason for us to, I think, amend our existing comprehensive plan so that when developers are coming in, they're looking at this plan and responding to it in a way that, either is consistent or inconsistent, and then the planning commission and council will have a decision to make as to whether or not they feel they should follow that.
And to echo what Mr. Grumby said, I mean, a lot of work on the planning and zoning commission's part, tons of work by staff. Soliciting public feedback in a variety of forms, multiple steps through the process. I was very impressed with the level of stakeholder engagement. I mean, stakeholders, utility providers, the schools, the library, chamber of commerce, landowners, two of which we have in the room today, have been involved in this process. So this wasn't a city push our will or developer, drive the result. It was, it took longer than we wanted to, in my opinion. But I think we came out with a better product. 18 to 20 months for this type of vision is, I think, appropriate. And again, this step in the process is us just accepting the plan and directing staff. Let's not just let this sit on the shelf and, take this to the next step. There are multiple public hearings to get to that next step. I mean, the comprehensive plan addendum, I think that's a good approach. That's a multi-month process, public hearings in the Planning and Zoning Commission, public hearings in City Council, and then creating new zoning districts or overlays or whichever direction, helps guide the future development to follow the plan. And that's a complicated effort. We added one new zoning district last year, and that was probably a 6-month process. We probably have some lessons learned from that, and we can make it more efficient, but until it has the zoning code or the law behind it, there's no teeth.
Right.
So, anything else? All right. First reading. All right, resolution number 2024.06. Resolution authorizing the city administrator to prepare and submit an application to participate in the Ohio Public Works Commission state capital improvement and or local transportation improvement programs in connection with the South Galena Road Emergency Repair Project and to execute contracts as required. We are looking to suspend the rules, but does staff want to provide?
Yeah, I was going to say, Dan, maybe come on up and help us. We did want to share with the rest of the council the video of the road failure out on South Galena. So if you look in the lower left-hand corner, this is video of actually the failure itself. Yeah, so there you go. So that road is closed today. This happened on Monday, I think.
This happened Sunday night, Monday morning.
Yeah,
This is the example of accumulation of rain over a few days.
Is that the northbound side or the southbound side of the road?
That would be the
It's the northbound.
Northbound. On the east
So I drove across there that just not too long before that happened in my smart car. So it probably wasn't.
That was probably it.
In the hole, yeah.
Were you overloaded?
You can see if you look in the, can you advance the slide? Next slide. You can see the undermining water from that. I didn't know if you will see the south. And here you can see the undermining that comes in here. This is actually, this is the downstream end of the pipe. So the water's coming up in here, but this end of the pipe, the buoyancy kind of came up and just kind of ripped everything out. The pipe just pulled everything out. But the water had washed it out over time, over a period of hours. But it was two 48-inch, very large 48-inch plastic pipes that floated up. What is $145,000 to replace? And obviously, it's an emergency situation, needs to be done quickly. I'm not sure what you wanted me to explain about.
Well, I was going to say, yeah, you can just stay there. That's good.
Okay.
So the resolution that you have in front of you basically authorizes the city administrator to seek emergency funding from the Ohio Public Works Commission and to declare an emergency for that purpose. So we, I think, are teed up and ready if council approves this evening. Teed up and ready to submit this application to them tomorrow. And I think the thought is here that it's a 10% match, so $145,000 of grant assistance, 10% of that from us. I know that during the services committee meeting, there was some discussion about if we didn't receive the grant, what happens next? So did have an opportunity to talk to Mr. Bream about that. So maybe Dave, if you could provide a little more.
I think our path forward needs to be number one, we're hoping we can get the emergency grant. We've been.
Answer, she can speak to the financial side of it, but my understanding is that you have the money. Fund, or whatever. My question is, if we're gonna do that. So go ahead and all of our emergency. I'd also like to make a motion, we can do it after this, either in the new business, to suspend your competitive bidding requirements. And there's no reason for us to get more soliciting contract users for.
I've got a contractor price, a bid. Understanding that, you know, it's a quick price and there, you don't know what other things there may be out there. There could be, there ought to be some contingency associated with that cost, but it is a proposal.
So this does exceed what our normal competitive bidding threshold would be at that 145 level. So we need a motion to suspend that competitive bidding. To do competitive bidding would take plans, months.
Yeah.
And you can't leave a road closed, especially that one in that location for months. There's a lot going on out there right now, and there's construction just in the north of it at the intersection of 36, 37. So we're going to also do a motion to suspend that competitive bidding requirement.
And we can do that without an ordinance or a resolution?
We're going to do it by motion tonight.
Okay.
And then we're going to potentially see if we get the grant in the next 2 weeks, and we may have legislation for you in 2 weeks.
Okay.
So kind of driving on the point that, you know, this is such a critical access point at this particular point in time. This is the detour route that exists today. And keep in mind, the north end of Galena is shut down, at least off of 36, and you've got all of that activity going out at 71 as well. So
You'll notice, sorry to interrupt, you'll notice that we intentionally didn't use Domagan Road as a detour for the reason that Domagan Road isn't necessarily all that safe at that intersection either. So, and which would enhance our opportunity to get the grant.
Yeah,
So we're looking for a motion to suspend the rules on resolution 224.
I'd like to make that motion.
A motion by Mr. Martin to suspend the rules 2024.06. Second by Mr. Capel. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Capel,
Yes.
Ms. Strayer,
Yes.
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mr. Neff,
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper.
Yes.
7 yeas.
I'd like to make a motion on resolution 2024.06.
A motion on the resolution, Mr. Martin.
Second.
Second by Mr. Capel. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Capel,
Yes.
Ms. Strayer,
Yes.
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mr. Neff,
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper.
Yes.
7 yeas.
You'd like to just go ahead and get this whole matter taken care of. We need a motion to waive bidding for this emergency product or project pursuant to section 9.02C of the Sunbury Charter.
I was getting ready to make that motion when you started talking, so.
Beat him to it. Mr. Martin made that motion. Don't take credit for it. Got a motion?
Second.
Second by Mr. Capel.
Does require an affirmative vote of 5 of your members to waive the competitive bidding and declare the emergency. So
Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Capel,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mr. Neff,
Yes.
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Ms. Strayer.
Yes.
7 yeas.
We want to thank staff for making quick action between meetings, making this very clear for us. So very much appreciated.
Thank you. I do want to say that that 2 weeks is probably longer than it will take. I just wanted to be concerned on it. Hopefully we'll hear sooner than that.
Engineers.
Always padding the stats.
I looked on a trail update. It's 11 months on getting a trail installed. Later in our agenda. Nobody comes.
The road in 6 months.
All right. They're widening 161 in like 4 weeks. Thank you, team. Ordinances, third reading, ordinance number 2024.01.1, first amended, an ordinance amending the 2024 annual appropriations. We're looking for a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
We've got a motion by Mr. Brumney. Second by Mrs. Dreyer, Ms. Dreyer. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mrs. Strayer,
Yes.
Ms. Capel, or Mr. Capel,
Yes.
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mr. Neff,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper. Yes. Mr. Martin,
Yes.
7 yeas.
Thank you. Dana, how do you feel about that?
Excellent.
Thank you. No second readings. We're on to first readings. I have this as a read only unless I'm told otherwise. Ordinance number 2024.10. An ordinance to approve a one-time correcting adjustment to the financial records of the city of Sunbury for bank verse book variances that existed prior to 2023. This is what we talked about in the finance committee meeting. If you do want to discuss it, we have a finance meeting in 2 weeks, plus city council that night. Good to go. All right, new and unfinished business. I'm going to go through the on the schedule items here. BWI Trail Task Order, 11 months.
All right, so this is basically just, we've been talking a great deal about this trail. This is just to amend our master agreement with CT Consultants so they can do the detailed design work. This is in the budget. This is already in the city's budget.
We'll only approve this if this timeline's cut in half.
Okay. I will be sure to alert.
Sister Whited, can you come back to the stand, please? Explain the 11 months on the trail. This is absurd. Yes, please. I want to know why it's going to be next March on a trail that you've been working on for the past year.
Well, sir, I plead the fifth.
Another engineer told you these dates, didn't they? Can you trim this down? Is this a worse?
Yeah, I think I said that,
Sorry, I didn't hear it. On the record.
well, we have the survey. I convinced our survey crews to get out there quicker. They had 2 months on there for survey, which is ridiculous. I concur with your conclusions, with your
Thank you.
assessment, sir. And I actually hired a woman from Wisconsin to get on to Wisconsin to get on it quicker. And we'll, okay, are you from Wisconsin? I am working diligently to accelerate that schedule, sir.
Thank you. I very much.
It will be,
That is a commitment.
it will be much quicker than 11 months. Not sure. Well, it'll be
Thinking like 50% the time?
Yeah, I was gonna say it'll be about half that.
All right, good deal. We got that on YouTube, on record. I will make a motion to approve.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, it says right there preparing live stream, so it's not recording yet.
Ah,
It says it's recording to the class.
yeah, we've got it.
Am I dismissed?
Yes, you're dismissed. Unless somebody else called you back up.
Well, he's there. My understanding is we not only have a cost estimate, we have a contractor, we have a written proposal. Can you speak to that, Dan?
Yes, sir. I can pull up that, actually, it's on that presentation. You want to pull it out? It was on the last slide of that presentation. Where it says next steps. Right there.
37. I can read it.
So he priced it 135.8. I wanted to add 8,500 to convert it to a concrete pipe, and we should add 20%.
Let's just make sure council knows what they're doing there. You got it. If you hold it down control and scroll up. Very good.
I confess I have not read the fine print.
You said the concrete pipe's 8,500?
Yes, he said he converted to a concrete pipe for 8,500.
So I used 136 plus 8,500 is 144.5. With a 20% contingency, did you say?
I would think that would be appropriate.
That'd be $173,400. So the question is, when can this contractor start work?
Does it say, there was a second page, which I did not include in there.
You have a meeting in 2 weeks. You've authorized the waiver of competitive bidding for this project. You've authorized to apply for grant money. Well, we have got a contractor who's got a quote to us to do the work. You authorized that. You just did it. We'll waive competitive bidding. Question is, if this contractor can get started, do we want to get this contractor started? Or do you want to wait 2 weeks and find out more?
Started.
Yeah. Gonna happen
There's
either
too
way.
much going on in that area. I-71 itself is a nightmare. Wilson Road.
It definitely is a public safety issue. I mean, it's closed. But what is closed? I mean, a car goes through there at night and misses it and then goes through it and could have, a serious incident. The sooner it's fixed, the safer it is. So, with as much as we have going on with still dealing with tornado situations and all those, I just don't know where we're going to be much better off 2 weeks from tonight than what we are. And if this contractor is ready to proceed forward, we have the opportunity, we've got the quote to move forward with it. If you're so inclined, we can make a motion to authorize the city administrator to enter into a contract with Park Enterprises at a cost not to exceed $173,400, contingent on a final engineering and legal approval for the South Goleta Road emergency repair.
That motion.
Well, I was gonna say, but I think we actually have another motion on the floor related to the, so let's do that vote and then have the other motion.
A motion on the trail,
You had a second.
second by Mr. Grumney.
That was Molly.
Sorry, Mr. Ayer. Discussion? Roll call?
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Ms. Strayer,
Yes.
Mr. Capel,
Yes.
Mr. Neff,
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper.
Yes.
Mr. Martin,
Yes.
7 yeas.
We're going back and now we're looking for a motion to approve this
A motion to
proposal.
authorize the city administrator to enter into a contract with Park Enterprises at a cost not to exceed $173,400 for the South Galena Road emergency.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Martin.
John was saying that.
Look at that now.
Yeah.
You pay attention to what's being said. I know the tone of his voice very well, so I knew when he was winding down.
We still don't have a second.
Second.
Second, Mr. Capel. It's not to discuss. I think Mr. Martin.
That is contingent upon final engineering and legal approval.
Yeah, my motion meant to say that.
Got that? No discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Martin,
Good, just, sorry, I'm not supposed to do that. Just wanted to make sure you were aware of some of his notes, just so we're all in this discussion. He's not gonna do any striping, so we would include the striping with, just because it's like 100, less than 100 feet. So we include that when we do our road improvement program. So there'll be a section of that road that doesn't have striping down the center. You can go out there with a paintbrush and do it.
Spray paint. Dan.
That whole road had no stripes last year, so
Okay.
we're used to it.
Just so you know, I'm gonna be responsible for it because he'll call me up to the stand. And the road's gotta stay closed while he's doing the work, so, which makes sense, so that's fine. I just wanted to, I got nervous.
Why would you be nervous?
We're all friends here.
Sorry, I was out of Robert's Rules of Orders. I'll sit down.
All right, we're looking for a roll call.
Mr. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Capel,
Yes.
Ms. Strayer,
Yes.
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mr. Neff,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper.
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
7 yeas.
We are on to Fiber Consulting Services Engagement, Deep Fiber Strategies.
Right, so this is the engagement letter we talked about at the Finance Committee last time. Basically, they're giving us a fee structure to provide these professional services. In the budget amendment that we just approved, it caps the amount of $25,000. So
For a motion, Mr. Neff, haven't heard you tonight.
So moved.
We've got a motion by Mr. Neff, enthusiastic.
Second.
Second by Mr. Grumney. Thank you for moving this along.
Yes.
Discussion?
Yes.
Roll call?
Mr. Neff?
Yes.
Mr. Grumney?
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mayor St. John?
Yes.
Ms. Strager?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
7 yeas.
Good deal. We're on to new and unfinished business, Mr. Neff. Report, Mr. Martin.
No.
Mrs. Cooper.
Nothing.
Nothing tonight.
Mr. Grumney.
Yeah, just real quick, I had two quick things. I had the opportunity, the privilege to attend the Delaware Public Health District Council meeting, the annual meeting on March 21st. And got several things accomplished as far as that committee is concerned. They did elect a new board member, Lindsay Parker, who is a nurse and has a lot of experience with workers' comp. Will be replacing Amy Howerton for a 5-year term. So that was voted on, and Ms. Parker was elected. Also, in the annual report, they provided some specific information about whether it's the township, whether it's the city, the village, or whatever being represented. And so I got a Sunbury profile for some interesting stats. So I thought I'd just share real quick. Last year, so this would have been for 2023, we had 41 resident deaths recorded in the county of Delaware. Leading causes of death within Delaware County were cancer was number 1, heart disease 2, and accidental injuries number 3. And then I thought this was interesting. We have 14% of our Big Walnut students on the free lunch and reduced lunch program. So I thought it was just nice that they recorded that information for the individual locations. A more, I guess, sad stat was Delaware County saw 24 suicides last year, and which was a slight uptick than the average. And they did actually indicate that there is proportionally a larger Asian population be affected by suicide. So that's something they're going to try to specifically address and assist. And they've dedicated $250,000 over the next few years for suicide prevention. So I think that's a step in the right direction. They're going to be proactive in reaching out, in particular to students and parents. So I thought that was very good of them to bring that in. And then secondly, got an opportunity on last Saturday to join the mayor and Mr. Martin, and we had Jason Stotterman from the zoning committee and Alyssa, our city planner, on a tour of the New Albany light industrial district. Mr. Rogenkamp from the New Albany company was our host, and he did an excellent job. Appreciate his time with driving us around New Albany and looking the way that they've designed and developed their business or industrial district. And it's fascinating. It's a lot to take in, but they've done it the right way. I think it's very professional. I think they've done a great job separating through landscaping, street design, to make it appealing to the eye. And I think it's a good model to follow as we look to develop our district. So I appreciate going through that. And I'm a visual person, so it helped me a lot in seeing what that could potentially look like. So
Good feedback.
yeah, thank you.
All right, Ms. Dre?
Just one more thing on this gas station. I'm sure you all have received letters through your emails. So I did get there is just a little bit of feedback from one of the letters that we've gotten. And he says, we chose this area specifically because of the bike trail and being able to walk and bike to both Sunbury and Galena. We happily support these businesses in both towns and know they also invest in our community and our schools. He goes on to say, or she, the name, it's hard to tell. Even our Sunbury Kroger has a gas station near other businesses, not homes. Same with UDF. Here is his example. I believe the development at County Line and Sunbury Road is a good example. You have a 90s neighborhood close to a commercial development that includes 2 restaurants, daycare, music lesson studio, daycare with children. A lot of us drive to Rock and Jump and other places. This would be nice to have in our area versus a gas station. My point is, and I think his point is, we can't forget why these people moved here is because of these things close to us, smaller knit community. I think it's our duty to respond and and listen to them. We can't really, we cannot forget why the bulk of the people live here. And it's simple things like that. The trails, small towns that support businesses. I just thought I'd pass that along and just for us not to forget.
Thank you. I know, I think the email you're referencing and several of them, they're emailing all of us. I know I personally am responding to every single one of those. I just am not including everybody. So if we want to somehow, without breaking sunshine law, summarize at least the comments that I'm getting back to residents, I mean, I'm one vote on the Planning and Zoning Commission and on City Council, but I also want you to know, like, I'm not doing nothing. I know our staff's not doing nothing. So if you aren't tuned into the responses, we can get you those. Thank you.
It does bring up a good point. Be careful of responding to group emails. Whenever it's a prearranged discussion of public business by a majority of a public body, it's a violation of sunshine. An email counts. And prearranged doesn't mean you have to say, let's all email today and make a scheduled email. As soon as you respond to respond all in an email, then that's an arrangement. So you can't hit reply to all. So to the extent, and as you said, it's fine to disseminate the information to a group. I mean, Daryl does that and Amber does that for all your council meetings, and they can continue to do that. But just be aware of the reply to all. We've got a situation locally where that was an issue and is being raised as an issue. Not here in this jurisdiction, but in a neighboring jurisdiction. And that includes not only emails, it includes being at the same place and saying it's a social function. It's the appearance of impropriety, as Dave would say. So we do need to be aware of it. I think we do a great job, first of all. I don't know of any violations, but I'm just pointing out, especially email, it can be a tricky thing. Emails, texts, all of that. Again, so be careful.
Right. I think I know these council members well enough that they share, I think, what your sentiment is, and that is that we need to listen to residents and be thoughtful about development. This one in particular, since we haven't talked too much about it in City Council, was presented informally in a Planning and Zoning Commission. And the point of informal presentations to the Planning and Zoning Commission is to get feedback. The developer has gotten feedback, like including the next day and the change.org petition and emails, calls from residents to the point where they're coming back into town just to, like, I think, satisfy the residents and say, this is us in person and we're going to listen to you. So yeah, I think we hear what you're saying, and we were all on that email, I believe. So, thank you. All right, anything else? All right, I'll make a motion to adjourn. Mr. Neff. Discussion. Roll call.
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mr. Neff,
Yes.
Mr. Martin,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mr. Ayer,
Yes.
Mr. Capel. Yes. 7 yeas, we are adjourned.